Well, I did say that we're taking on another perspective here. We have with us Mr. Peter Ameh, who is a former chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council. He's a Labour Party chieftain and also former chairman, Progressive People's Alliance, PPA. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be here.
Well, so far so good. The primaries are upon us. Well, most times people focus on the major political parties. But what is happening in the smaller parties? Can you tell us?
I think I take exceptions to the issue of smaller parties.
Because I knew you were going to say that.
If you look at the constitution, our constitution was established, to promote the interest of all Nigerians and create, level playing ground for everybody to have opportunity. The essence of multi-party democracy is to build a wider, network, a range that will accommodate more people into contesting for election. And because of our focus on these two major parties, that become a vehicle to manipulate, a vehicle to...
I find it interesting that you use the same words I have used in terms of the major parties. We know that they are major parties. How would you then have us describe the parties that are not the major parties? The
issue of major or minor, in whatever case you want to classify it, is about visibility. It's about having people to contest election. If you try to take it step by step and find out that the elections have improved over time, the issue why this thing became very, very obvious is because our elections were not improving. People think if they get ticket of a party in government, they are 60% into victory. Maybe they have the military, the government apparatus supporting them on election day, and that's why people rush that to that place. But if you're popular, if you have the mandate of if you're running on the mandate of your people, you win elections.
Yeah, but for the sake of description, I mean, this is just to help my viewers understand what I'm talking about. What would you have had us describe the PPA, for instance, as?
For me, what you would have had to just describe it as a political party.
As a political, okay. Yeah, so the other political parties. Tell us what is happening in the other political. Let's take your own party, for instance, Labour Party.
For the Labour Party, there's been a lot of work going on. And there's been a lot of investment of human capital in the process. And there's this information. The Nigerian workers suffer more. Who suffers in this a lot of thing? In some states, they're getting 17% salary at local government level. In some states, they're not paid at all. Like in Ogun State, I heard people were paying contributory scheme, for since 2011, and they've not gotten all the money back, and they've been retired. Pensioners don't get money. So we are focusing on how to build a system, how to make sure that we free the local government system from the hands of...
The primaries are not going on in your own party?
Primaries are going on. That's what I'm saying. Primaries are going on. Primaries will start, the end of primaries start of June. So primaries are going on, and people are indicating interest. We have presidential aspirants on the floor, more than 3 of them already. So people are indicating interest to contest election on the platform of Labour Party. And for me, by the end of 2023 election, Labour Party will be, on top of this game and come out victorious.
Are you one of the aspirants?
Yes, I am. I didn't come here to advertise myself. I wanted to discuss Delegates, but I'm running for Federal House of Reps in Ankpa Umala Federal Constituency.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I've given an opportunity to advertise.
I wanted to avoid it, but when I have an opportunity, I take it.
Let me ask you then about the delegates. Everyone now knows that the fortunes of the country, in terms of the choices that we'll eventually have to pick from, for almost all of the position, rests heavily with the delegates. How are you monitoring what is happening with the emergence of delegates in almost all the political parties? I'm sure you also have an eye out of your political party, given that you're also a member of the Inter-Party Advisory Council.
The delegate system was made to reduce cost for the parties, because if you are doing, direct primaries, you have to have all the members to run. So it's like a delegated authority being given to a certain group of persons to represent the interest of, the majority within the party. And like I've told many Nigerians that, they are waiting for general elections to be conducted, but they are not taking cognizance that the outcome of party primary determine of who they are going to vote for in the election. So I've always told my friends to go and join political party and try to be delegates. Because if we are getting if we are getting aspirants that are not good, that are bad quality, and then we have no choice. If the 18 parties present bad candidates, we have no choice to vote for them at the poll. We'll be selecting out of the many bad candidates that will be presented. So, but that's why we're asking those who are intelligent, those who have the ability to to take decision without any how they call it, any imposition, should go join party and become party delegate. Because as we speak, if you look at the gatekeepers, the work of the gatekeepers in the community, the work the work of the strong arm men who are twisting ad hoc and they call it statutory delegates to vote for candidate of their choice is run by money. And that made the election more expensive for our people. So for us to make election more, more inclusive and more, they call it transparent, we must have people who can take decision to be part of the delegate at the local level.
Have your friends listened to your appeal?
A lot of them are listening, and that's why you find out that, in the multi-party democracy, the parties are increasing. Naturally, in every country, you are supposed to allow party to grow organically, because if you can't take 4-year cycle, to judge a political party performance. But, we always have this military approach to issues in Nigeria, and that's why we have taken, people don't take, what they call into record. From 1999 indeed, parties have won election, big election. The PPA won 2 governors in 2007. The Labour Party had governor. Mimiko was governor of Labour Party and a lot of other, very wonderful positions. But as I speak to you, those parties couldn't grow. They couldn't move forward because of the defection that exists in these parties. So if you have the law that people are defecting, and that's why I'm happy with what the court is doing in trying to reform, the electoral, how they call it, the election system, whereby when you win an election in Nigeria, you can't defect as a member, as a lawmaker. You have to stay until the end of your course, and then you can go to another party, because the work that a party puts in to win an election is a lot of work and a lot of money. So you can't just reverse all that work within the space of 6 months in getting into office. So for us to build a party that would be strong and build a democracy that will promote the interest of our people and then accommodate more people in contesting the election, we must, put all this check in place and allow party delegates to think for themselves, to reason for themselves. Because as some of the primaries that's going to go on now, it's said that they have governors, because I have been in parties that have governors. It said that they have gone on, the governors are going to tie, chain their waist, and they are attached to the waist of the delegate to go into the election. And that's why people are just looking for governors to endorse them. Because if governor endorsed you, his delegate had endorsed you. So the system shouldn't be like that. The system should be that delegates are supposed to sit within their people, within the community they come from, and then think, who is the best candidate that has, promised to do what is right or had track record of performance. Then they vote for the person on free will. But that's not what happens. If you look at some parties now, adult delegate is war. Because you have to get the form from national headquarters. People at the national headquarters lobbying, putting money at the national headquarters to get the form for an adult delegate. When it's supposed to be done, because most times the parties, some of these parties that people want to give credence to, people want to praise them. Because as person who have headed the Inter-Party Advisory Council, I do not want to mention names of parties and try to reduce them. But if you go, they don't even manage the activities at the local level. They allow it to run wide, and people are there, extorting, how they call it, aspirant, to a point that these aspirants go to bank to borrow money, to just contest for party primary elections. So what do you expect when these people get into office? And the delegates also have an issue. You don't have to blame them. Those who have been elected over the years have not performed. They've not done anything. So they go there, they enrich themselves. They have opportunity to put people in work in NNPC, they put their family member. They have opportunity to put people in work in CBN, they put their family member. So that is the reason why the delegate now sees every 4 year delegate time, the 50,000 as their own share of the cake. But the delegates are reasoning in a wrong way, because at the end of the day, you have 4 years that you are going to suffer, while the man has 4 years that he's going to enjoy. Because there will be pipe-borne water on that decision you are taking, because we don't longer talk about pipe-borne water in Nigeria. Let's just say there will be borehole on that decision you are taking. There will be road network on that decision you are taking. So if you, that's why we don't have, community health services will be on that decision you are taking. So the delegate is supposed to be more circumspect and think very wisely that no need to look for 50,000, no need to look for 100,000. Vote people, whether they have money or not, who can go and represent our people. In those days, in the early days of First Republic and Second Republic, as old as and uneducated our communities were, they were putting basket in market days to put money for very credible candidates that can represent them. So what changed? What changed is the fact that those who have been elected are bastardized and has reversed all this growth that we've gained in the First and Second Republic by taking everything that belongs to people and keeping it as theirs. So the people now decided, well, anytime we have opportunity on election day, we should take money. But it is still the fact that the people are at a disadvantage.
Let me flip this conversation to my colleagues.
Yes, indeed, Malkwe. I'd like to pick up on your question to him and ask it in a different way. Mr. Ahmed, thank you. You began to tell us about how a delegate emerges. You said that delegates are in a rush to the party's national headquarters to pick up delegates' form. In line with the new Electoral Act 84-8, which says a party shall that adopts the indirect primary shall state clearly in its constitution how a delegate emerges in a democratic election. Tell us more about how these elected delegates emerge, and because they determine the future of Nigerians for the next 4 years, perhaps the next 8 years. How should Nigerians begin to demand some form of accountability about how these delegates emerge?
Thank you. From the delegate emergence varies from party to parties, from political party to political party. If you go to a party where there will be delegate congress to elect adult delegates, because parties that are not in government, maybe a fresh party now, can maybe have in its constitution that if they have a former vice president, a former president, a former senate president as a super delegate to their convention or to their primaries. So if you don't have that does not exist in your party. And then in a situation where you have elected governors, elected senators, and elected House of Reps, including deputy governors, they are automatic super delegate to every of the congresses that will be conducted within the party framework. So, but in other parties, they have what they call adult delegate. I think some parties have one adult delegate apart from statutory and delegate list. They have what they call adult delegate, where they give maybe one to each local government, and then to bring them to come and elect at the presidential primaries. But what I said was that it's not the delegates that are coming to the headquarters to get this form. Most times, is either the local government chairman of the party or the gatekeeper, the strong man who controls the local government of the party local government structures. He comes to collect the adult delegate and then issue this delegate in his living room to whoever he prefers to issue it them, and then tell them what to do. Who to be elected at the primaries when the time comes. My advice, the way to solve this thing is that inform people who understand the need to drive a better society. They need to create an atmosphere where economic and social structure will be standing on the firm foundation. Who understand these factors should go join parties. I think many Nigerians have made mistakes. They think that the basic thing they must do is to stand up on election day and vote. Like I said in my earlier statement, if we have bad candidates in all the elections, which is a byproduct of the primaries of political parties, you have no choice. When you go to the ballot, you are going to be selecting out of the bad ones that have been selected, that have been presented to you by political parties. So your interest, first and foremost, and like what is done in the United States, like Clement Wako said, should be put on the political party. And not stay away and say you do not like politics. Even your family will play politics. And that's why the Constitution will allow civil servants to be members of the political party of their choice. The only thing is that you will not contest election while remaining in the office. So the basic thing is that parties have different ways to select. You have statutory delegates, like I told you. You have state executive council members, national working committee members, zonal working committee members who are delegates to the primaries of the party. And then you have what they call, like other parties call it, the delegate and not statutory delegate. So these are how it is put together. You cannot say, oh, one structure work for all the political parties, because these parties have designed it in a way that it that will accommodate the interest of their people within the political party.
And the defections ongoing from one party to another, it means the expansion of one party's membership register and the diminishing of another party's membership register. How does this affect the delegate system? I mean, those who are coming to one party would be interested in becoming delegates. And how can the integrity of the membership register be guaranteed amidst the defections ongoing now?
It is guaranteed because it's trade by barter for a lot of some of these politicians you see. It's trade by barter because when they are moving from one party to the other, they'll say, oh, I want to run for Senate. Will you give me a ticket? I want my boy to be delegate on these primaries. So they would negotiate all this before you come to the television. What you see them started speaking English about how Nigeria is very important, about how Nigeria will go to how they call it space when they get elected. These are backdoor, things they do that has kept our democracy from growing further. So, but if a lot of people understand this system on how it works and put their foot on ground. Because we know we have a lot of good Nigerians who can set this country on its progressive nature. We cannot continue to progress in error. For us to progress in a way that Nigerians will benefit and that the society will be happy for it, we must, set up defection. Yes, it could be good for our democracy, but at the rampant level, the way it occurs, it has become like a child play. It has become very ridiculing to our people, because a man who is former governor, former senator, former minister is still jostling and decamping from everywhere just because certain decisions of the party does not favor you. I think we must respect the interests of their party, and the party leadership too must take into cognizance the interests of the members of the party. You cannot continue to force, to do strong arm tactics in order to manage political party. Political parties must be allowed to be free. They must be allowed to, for their members to hear their views. And when I joined party at a very early age, it was so beautiful. You enjoy everything. You could talk in open air. But now people don't talk. You go to a meeting, you see people sitting down and they are chorusing, which delegate do you support? Everybody will say, yeah, we support, because they are looking at the body language of their principal. So Nigeria is in serious danger. Let me tell you, it's not about the economic policy. It's not about, I read economics in school. I know how important economics is. But it's about the political structure. If you are not interested in the party system, elections have been free, have been getting better since 1999. I've been in the process. I've been when elections have been won and how they win elections. That's why you see people now pay for vote at the polling unit, because elections are getting better. So if we have more people come out, if we have more people engage the process, if we have more people go to the ballot stations in 2023, the riggers and those who intend to disrupt our electoral system will be heard at a disadvantaged level.
At the end of the day, before we get to that point that you talked about, we have a line of people who need to do some things for us, literally shortlist the candidates for us. And that's what this whole conversation is about. And there's a question we asked earlier. I'd like you to take it on, but I'll be more direct about it. Now, the aspirants are going around appealing to the delegates now. Is there a role for the political party itself in educating the delegates so that they can, as Mr. Nwankwo said the other time, follow their own rules and their own manifestos? Because unless the delegates choose the right people who Nigerians should employ, all the issues that you raised the other time were between the devil and the deep blue sea. So is there a role for political parties? Do you see political parties, your own party, for instance, sitting their delegates down to educate them and say, these are the things to look out for in the delegates, in the candidates that you're going to select for Nigerians?
Yes, that's what our party is doing right now. And for me, I've been in the forefront of talking to delegates across different communities and making them see the importance of the role that has been, put in their hands for the, just to look at the interest of Nigeria as a whole. Because some of these delegates do not even understand the magnitude of the functions that have been, bestowed upon them. They think that they're just going to elect, just give us 100,000, give us this amount. Let's just elect him. He might lose the election, he might win. They don't even know that they are putting the decision of those who run the Nigerian affairs in their hand to take that decision. So generally, just like, let me be specific to your answer. Yes, it is important for parties to continue to educate their delegates. Because if you take a survey, I'm very sure you'll see some other parties, not Labour Party, their members might not have read their manifestos. Their members might not have read their constitution. All they do is just to follow, to be led to the slaughter by the hangman who is in charge of, leading delegates to conventions and congresses. So we must let them know that it's an open secret ballot. Nobody's going to see what you vote. Why not exercise your free mind and free your conscience and make sure Nigeria heads the right way? So we must continue to, if you go to some of the local areas, sincerely, some of these people don't know their functions. If they know their functions and how important it is, nobody is going to be selling his delegate vote for 200,000 naira and wait for another 4 years. Nobody will do that. But these functions are not really clear to them, that they are the most important people in the chain of of this process for election. Because election is about pre, during, and post. When you do other things, even the post where you have what they call reverse logistics. So these are important chain that we must be able to tell delegates. If this part of the process is not important, you won't be in the chain. You are so important that your decision could decide whether Nigeria go back to 1914 or Nigeria go back to 1950. You know, go to where the other nations are heading. So their decisions are so important, and they are taking the decision not because they are so powerful or they are so educated. They are taking decision because their community or somebody
let's
believes
wind
in
down
them.
on this
and the
one.
decision is supposed to be this decision is supposed to be taken in the interest of the people.
Right, pardon me. Let's wind down, if we can, in about a minute. So earlier on, Mr. Nwako called it a bazaar of sorts, saying that this is overly monetized inducement. And in fact, I think you put a figure to it, 50,000 naira. Is that what's happening within your party, by the way?
For my party, there are a lot of trade unionists that are involved who are suffering, from lack of non-payment of salary, who are suffering from mistreatment of government, how they call it, maladministration. So they don't even look towards that way, because what they want now is somebody who can lay his voice, lend his voice to the issues that are affecting our people, about, governors that are refused, to put the minimum wage on the front burner, governance system that does not look at housing, for social housing for workers. We don't look at how to create transport system that will be accommodative and be cheap for those who are working, for the working class. That's what our delegates are looking at. So we're not really concentrating on these issues. We're concentrating on issues that are more important, to the ordinary Nigerian on the street. So, but the other parties, I think 50,000 naira is too small for the delegate, because you get it for more than 10 aspirants. You have to take from all the aspirants. So there's no more dignity, there's no more sincerity in the process. If a person takes... People say lobbying is good. Yes, if you lobby a person and the person has agreed to work with you, if other aspirants come to that person, you say, I've been lobbied by Mr. Joe. I'm going to work for Mr. Joe. So you're not going to be promising Mr. Joe, Mr. Paul, Mr. Adams, and not promising them to vote for them, and then collecting money from each one of them, which for me is deceit. Is not the right way to do things. You could take money from one person and say, look, you gave me 100,000 naira, I will vote for you, maybe for my logistics to move around. And when another aspirant comes, you tell them, look, Mr. Joe came here before you, we discussed, and I agreed to vote for him on the primaries of the election.
Are you being serious? I mean...
That's what they're doing.
I have to laugh because, you're saying that delegates could collect money from one person.
No, but what I'm saying... I'm not saying they should.
Just a moment. Wouldn't that be an outright bribe?
I'm not saying...
As opposed to collecting money from all the candidates and voting for who you like. I'm just wondering.
No, I'm just saying they should. Even I said... You could, if that is the extreme of what you want to do. But it's not even right for them to do that. People should, like I said for my introduction and between my discussion, is that you should go and vote your conscience, because there are a lot of things on the line. But if you have to do it, why not even do it with some level of sincerity and transparency? So that you don't live in deceit, so that you don't even live with the burden of your conscience on you. You understand? So I'm just saying to say, don't do it. But if you really have to do it, why not do it with an open mind? And be strong about it, that I'm already supporting this candidate. It's done in the US. In the US, people just tell you on TV, on the road, that they're supporting this specific candidate. And there's no going back. But in Nigeria, you can't meet a delegate who can talk to you and tell you I'm supporting this guy. They don't have that courage.
Isn't that because they're afraid of the consequences? I mean, what if the candidate they're supporting doesn't win? Doesn't mean that they will be in a political wilderness for the next how many years?
But the most important thing is to free your conscience, is to do the right thing. What wilderness will you be? The people at the lower level, how many of these people that they have elected come back to greet them? They don't even pick their course.
Mr. Nwankwo, expressed, he says the expectations are that political parties will follow their own constitution. Do you fear that political parties could jettison their constitution? Because there's always that fear that there could be lots of litigations after the conventions. You've already talked about June the 3rd being the final date set by INEC. Are you optimistic that we will see fewer litigations in the aftermath of the conventions, given just how much preparations we're seeing the political parties put into this?
No, I think there will be for the political parties. I must praise them sincerely. It's very difficult for you not to follow your constitution. It's very difficult because you have this watchdog, the commission, looking at every process, every decision taken by the political parties. And, they always have representative at the primary ground level. So if anything really go wrong, then you should be speaking to INEC, because INEC has been very effective in managing the party, system in Nigeria and in trying to rein it in, to do the right thing. So even at a very difficult time, when the ruling the people in power will write to INEC that want to do this, INEC will reject that you can't do this. So I think we must give kudos to INEC on some of these very difficult decisions they are taking. It's not really easy for them to, though they must must wake up and also act better than the delegate, and so that they will see that our hope and aspiration is lying on their chest, because by INEC doing the right thing, then Nigeria has hope that will get better. Because like I said in my earlier conversation here, is that our elections are improving, sincerely, because I know when ballot box stuffing, I they call it ballot box snatching, and the Ontogri was at the highest level, but now as I speak to you, there's going to be transmission of results. People vote is counting, and that's why people are now keeping bag of money to go to polling units, and then, deliberately impoverish our people without doing things right for our people to get prosperity, so that when they are very hungry, they say, by 5,000, diboko sobe. These are the problems. We must educate our people that is 5,000. Even if you cook the soup, wouldn't last more than 2 days. So these are all the things we must put together as a people, as an advocate for good governance, whether you are in a political party system, whether you are in the media, whether you're in civil society, or whether you are just there as a Nigerian citizen to make sure that Nigeria works for all of us.
Well, Mr. Peter Ame, we have to thank you so much for coming on this morning. He's the former chairman, Progressive People's Alliance, former chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, and former PPA presidential candidate. Oh, you also heard him now. He's also aspiring to be a candidate for the House of Reps. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you. My pleasure.
We'll take another break now. When we come back, we'll be talking about something that concerns the people of Lagos. Yes. In a moment, please stay with us.